When Super Smash Bros. Brawl was released exactly 17 years ago in 2008, the game was met with some mixed reviews. From a casual player's perspective, it was the best Smash game yet, with a huge roster of characters, items, stages, and the newly added Final Smash. But from a competitive player's perspective, it was kind of a nightmare. For starters, they added a new mechanic where while you're running you can just randomly trip, which essentially gives your opponent a free hit even though you did nothing wrong except get unlucky. On top of that, this game wasn't as well balanced as its predecessor Super Smash Bros. Melee, which is kind of hard to believe, but it's true, because the newcomer Meta Knight was the clear best character in the game and made almost all of the tournaments look like this. But something most people could agree was fun is the game's story mode, the Subspace Emissary. But after 17 long years, does the game still hold up? So today I'm asking the question, is the Subspace Emissary still good? The game starts out with the cutscene showing a classic Super Smash Bros. Style fight between Nintendo's mascot Mario and Kirby, because Kirby. So here you get to pick who you want to play as, with the fighter you don't pick being your opponent. You'll be shown a different cutscene depending on which character you chose, where picking Mario shows Kirby getting defeated, and picking Kirby shows Mario getting defeated. Considering this game's age and the fact that the Wii wasn't in HD, the cutscenes still look very good, which is a good thing because there are a lot of cutscenes. The combined runtime of all the cutscenes is more than 50 minutes, and each one of them is awesome. From epic fights, to daring escapes, to funny interactions, to sad sacrifices, to character entrances, to... we'll get to that. This game really has it all in the way that the characters convey their thoughts, feelings, and emotions with absolutely no dialogue is pretty special because that's something that we don't see a lot of in modern games. That's why the cutscenes are actually my favorite part of the game, and it just so happens that we have another one to watch right now. This one has Meta Knight's ship, the Halberd, which comes through this red fog and drops a whole bunch of purple things, which form these things called Pyramids. This makes Princess Peach and Zelda come out to help Mario and Kirby in our fight against them. Even though this is only the second fight on intense difficulty, it's pretty, well, difficult. This means that to win you'll have to be strategic. With that being said, I won and I didn't even need all 4 characters because I'm just so cool like that. Oh my god, dude. Still good, bro, still good.
Are you sure about that?
Also, just so we're all in agreement, these sword Pyramids are actually just Jedi, I mean, right? And when we defeat a boom Pyramid, we have to give them 5 big booms. Oh, dang, Mario actually just got boomed by a cannonball trying to stop a subspace bomb that was placed by this weird guy and, Rob the robots? And there's Petey Piranha, who kidnapped the princesses! I just love how quickly this cutscene escalates. It's really fun and surprising to watch, especially since this is the first time I've ever played this game, which, now that I'm thinking about it, I guess is a good reason why I'm reviewing this game, because I don't have any nostalgia bias or preconceptions. The Petey Piranha fight is one of the coolest parts about this game, not just because the boss is fun to fight, but also because depending on which princess's cage you break is going to be the princess who gets to ride away on Kirby's star, and the other one... brutal. Also, what the heck is wrong with Zelda's face? The part that's so interesting about this is that this one decision affects a lot of the game going forward. For one, it decides who you get to play as in the levels where the princesses are available. There are also 10 cutscenes that will change depending on the princess that you saved. Most of them don't change too much, but there's one that changes heavily, so I'll show that now. So there's a cutscene where Luigi is being scared by everything, and then King Dedede hits him with his hammer and makes him blast off to the moon. Then Wario comes and Dedede steals his cart, and Wario says this. So, I guess this game does have dialogue. I think it's kinda weird that Luigi is acting so scared here, because in Luigi's Mansion he's fearful but brave, and defeats hundreds of ghosts, and here he gets scared by a gosh darn walking orange with eyes, which, now that I'm thinking about it, is actually really scary. But still, as a Luigi glazer, I gotta say that this is not the best representation for my boy. Anyway, there's another cutscene where Kirby basically says, screw you, I gotta save Luigi, which I think is the right call. And then Bowser comes in and shoots the princess. Then this fake Bowser that's made up of the purple things that Diddy Kong and Fox fought consumes the princess and makes a false clone of them. If Peach is the one cloned, Link and Yoshi will fight her. If it's Zelda who's cloned, then Mario and Pit will fight her. After that, either Mario or Link has a misunderstanding, thinking that they turned their respective princesses into trophies who turned into purple balls. It's pretty cool to see 2 of Nintendo's mascots brawling in this epic cutscene, and the fight is also pretty fun because it's a doubles match, which isn't something that we see much of in the Subspace Emissary. It's just so awesome to me how many characters, cutscenes, and battles have been involved in this one storyline to form the team of the 5 main characters in the game. And again, this is just one storyline. There are still so many more to play through with different groups and duos of characters, which really makes the world feel immersive and alive. I mean, if they were ever going to have a Super Smash Bros. Movie, here's the script. Well, now that I've shown you some cutscenes, let's actually play the game. My favorite part about the gameplay is how it almost never feels repetitive by always having different places to go to, like the sky, a jungle, a lake, a ruined zoo, a fortress, a desert, a forest, a research facility, another lake, a cave, a lava-filled cave, ruins, a mountain, a canyon, a ship, a factory, subspace. Yeah, we just go into subspace. I mean, if that isn't the definition of awesome, then I don't know what is. There are 31 stages, so to have that many unique places to go gives great variety, and of course the level design is always changing, so that even if the scenery and setting is the same as a previous level, it still feels different. The stages are always interesting, and you have fun things to do like platforming, defeating enemies, dodging obstacles, and finding doors to acquire collectibles. My favorite stage is the ruined zoo, where we see the statue of Porky, who's an antagonist in Earthbound and the main antagonist in Mother 3. He starts chasing you, which feels pretty nerve-wracking, but that's what makes it fun, right? He goes super fast for a huge statue made of stone, and if you get hit, then you go flying and you're most likely dead. Nothing more to it, but it's just very exciting and memorable. That's not even mentioning the awesome cutscene where Ness comes out to save Lucas and destroys the statue. And after you fight the boss, Ness dodges Wario's arrows like Neo from the Matrix until Wario aims for Lucas, and Ness sacrifices himself for the ice cream cone-haired kid. Man, Ness is a really great friend, and all he gets in return is Wario laughing in his face. Poor guy. Anyway, on top of that, most of the levels introduce fighters you haven't used before, which keeps everything fresh. Do I want to play as an Italian plumber? Sure. A spy? Why not? An overpowered sphere-shaped knight? Okay. An electric rat? A dinosaur? A fox? A bird? A monkey? Of course. What? Yo! Bro, that cutscene's kinda crazy, not gonna lie. Wow, way to play it cool, bro. My favorite part about this cutscene is how easy it is to make it kid-friendly. Alright, I do admit that I like the original way better, though. While that might be a crazy entrance, it's shockingly not the craziest because that goes to this guy, the Ancient Minister. Well, not that entrance, but rather the reveal of their true identity. So the cutscene starts in the subspace
Bomb factory.
where they make subspace bombs. Ganondorf takes control of all the robot operating buddies and orders them to fire at the Ancient Minister, burning him like the man who was never given the rank of Master. Then Ganondorf makes the Rob start the timer on the bombs and laughs like Optimus Prime transforming. The Minister then shoots some lasers at some robot birds, and it's revealed that it's another Rob! Ooh! But he's not being controlled by Ganondorf, so he decides to join our heroes in their quest, so yeah, that's pretty crazy. Alright, now let's talk a little bit about the bosses, enemies, and combat that this game has to offer. There are 8 different bosses in this game, and they're all fairly fun to fight, so here's my ranking of all of them in less than a minute. Number 8, Porky Minch. There's just not much going on here, and it's pretty easy. The thing I took damage from the most were his little spiky legs. Number 7, Rayquaza. This one is a little more difficult than Porky, but still there's nothing really too special about it, and their attacks just aren't very fun to dodge. Number 6, Petey Piranha. The boss is simple since it's the first boss in the game, but picking which cage to break is very interesting and changes the game going forward. Number 5, Ridley. Fun, but a little on the easy side. Number 4, Gallium. Dodging the attacks in this one are very enjoyable, and there's a lot of variety in the moves they do. Number 3, Duon. Similar to the last one, but it's a little more difficult, and I like that they have one side for melee attacks and one side for range attacks. Number 2, Meta Ridley. This is a chaotic and challenging battle where Ridley can shoot fire at you and tip the ship into the ground, like dang man. Number 1, the final boss Tabuu is the best boss. It is crazy hard and there are too many moves to count, most of which kill you instantly. You'll have to try it a few times to learn the moves so that you can dodge them, which is pretty fun and it feels very rewarding once you defeat him. There we go, with a few seconds left to spare. So yeah, all the bosses are a great part of this game. There's a good number of enemies in the game and they're all designed well. These enemies kind kinda look like the master enemies from Smash 4, it's cool that Bowser's minions are in the game and these 4 enemies can fall down into a ditch never to be found again. I don't even mind that a lot of them are variations of Primids. It kind of reminds me of Dragon Quest, where they have many different kinds of slime, which is the most basic enemy in the game. The problem I have with the enemies isn't the enemies themselves, but rather that there are just too many roaming enemies in groups, and I'm not talking about mites because these little nuisances are meant to be annoying. I'm talking about enemies that aren't meant to be annoying. Now, while groups of enemies are a good way to keep the world feeling alive, it's just that in my opinion, fighting more than 2 or 3 enemies at once becomes a little bit less fun. A good example of this that I'll explain would be the Dr. Wily fight from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate World of Light. In the Dr. Wily fight, there are 8 Mega Men and 1 Dr. Mario. You fight 2 Mega Men at a time, and if you've played this battle then you know that it's one of the hardest in the game, although just a little flex, I can beat it without moving. That's not important, but it's funny. Anyway, imagine now that instead of 2 Mega Men at once, it's all of them at once, and Dr. Mario, but they have half the health that they would originally. Both are the same amount of difficulty, but one you have to strategize and plan to win, and the other you just get knocked around like a ping pong ball. You tell me which one you think is more fun, but I know what I think. It also encourages the player to just run past the enemies, because whatever reward you'll receive most of the time won't be worth the risk of fighting a battle where there are enemies all around you and you're almost certain to get hit. And it's not just me who runs away from enemies because I'm bad at the game or something, since a lot of walkthroughs of the game do it as well because it's smart to. But skipping past enemies kind of defeats the purpose of playing the game, so like I said before, smaller groups of enemies that are harder to defeat would be my preferred design choice. Now, big groups of enemies in stationary fights aren't as bad as roaming fights because you're forced to think of a plan to fight them instead of just running away. Even though when you get hit, if you're lying on the ground, there's no cooldown time before the enemy can hit you again. Which means you can get hit, knocked down, hit again, knocked down again, until you die. They're basically just wombo comboing you, which isn't as cool as it seems. So this is probably my least favorite design choice they made, but this game also has just really strange and bizarre design choices with some of their obstacles. For example, there are these cannons that have you shoot yourself into the next cannon like in Donkey Kong Country. Near the end there's a sneaky little hover slide thingy that is barely visible because of some water blocking it. The last cannon auto launches you straight onto it and it kills you. What? I mean, they basically troll you. Unless you're making a game like Unfair Mario, it's usually never a good thing to break the player's trust, because it just puts a bad taste in the player's mouth. I mean, even if they just put a simple flashing arrow so that you would know where you have to go, and you'd know that the game isn't trying to be malicious. But don't worry guys, they'll make sure to put arrows where they don't need it at all, as we can see in the Subspace Bomb Factory too. Like, yeah, I see that I have to go down. It's the only place I can go! Probably my least favorite part of any level is in the research facility too, where you have this platform to step on and it kills you. I mean really, how are you supposed to have a fast enough reaction time to the fact that this platform is taking you straight into the blast zone? But it doesn't end there because we have more platforms, and now that the game broke your trust, you're more aware and looking for different ways to go. The thing is that the platforms move way too fast for you to be looking for where you need to go while you're making sure you're not riding off into the blast zone. Overall, it's just not a very fun part to play. Like I said about the hover slide thingies, if they just had arrows telling you where to go, then it would actually be fun. It sucks because I love the story and cutscenes in this level where Samus finds her power suit just like Metroid Zero Mission. After that, you watch a crazy cutscene where Ridley is slamming Samus's head against the wall and Pikachu brings lightning down onto Ridley like the Wrath of Zeus. Ridley gets up and it doesn't even look like he knows where he is. I don't think he's screaming to intimidate Samus and Pikachu, I just think he's in immense pain. But this is why I said at the start that the cutscenes are my favorite part of this game, because the cutscenes never disappoint, but certain gameplay elements in the game just aren't how I'd like them to be. Well, now that I've shown some of the good and some of the bad that this game has to offer, I'd say that it's time to show the end of this game. So it starts out with what is most likely the best cutscene in the whole game, where Bowser and Ganondorf's ship that makes subspace comes out of subspace. Our heroes then approach on the halberd that gets shot in the face and blown up. That is already epic, but then like phoenixes rising out of ashes, our heroes come through the fire on singular ships. The game's legendary theme song starts playing and Ganondorf orders to fire on all cylinders to shoot those ships out of the sky. I mean, this looks like a scene straight out of Star Wars. I'll try spinning, that's a good trick. Another good trick is Kirby riding on the Dragoon right into the ship, exploding it. As a result of that, Ganondorf and Bowser tuck their tails between their legs and retreat into subspace with our heroes not far behind them. I mean, gaming cutscenes just don't get much cooler than this. Now that we've entered Subspace, we have some fighting to do until we get to a cutscene where Ganondorf betrays Bowser and is meeting up with Master Hand, who has been giving Ganondorf, Bowser, and Wario orders. But he sees that Master Hand has been controlled by Tabuu this whole time, so he tries to attack Tabuu, but he fails. But he does free Master Hand, who has blood on his knuckles. I guess this is why the game is rated teen. Well, also because of this too. Then our heroes come in and yeah, they get trophified instantly. Tabuu then combines all the places that have been consumed by Subspace into the Great Maze. The only one who can save our heroes now is the real hero Luigi, who gets untrophified by King Dedede's timed badge. Oh yeah, and I guess Ness and Dedede also help too, but it's mainly Luigi. So this team goes through Subspace collecting trophies of the fighters to free them. With everyone free, we go into the maze, which has a whole bunch of small sections that are based on previous levels. To beat the stage, you have to go through the maze and enter doors where you fight the doppelgangers of almost all the fighters. You also fight all of the bosses that you fought previously. Once you've done that, you go through this door, and just as Tabuu is charging up an attack, BAM! A blue blur smashes his wings. It turns out that the blue blur was Sonic! Ah! While this reveal is awesome, it's a little bit disappointing that you only get to play as Sonic during the Tabuu fight. Mind you, this is coming from someone who doesn't even like playing as Sonic. Maybe there could have been a boss right at the start of the maze and Sonic comes in spin dashing them. It would be cool, but obviously it wouldn't be as cool as Tabuu, but I'd trade it if it means that we could play as him in the maze. And it's not like Sonic wasn't shown in the trailer, so we knew that he'd be in the game. So I knew going into the final boss that Sonic had to show up here, so maybe I was just thinking about it too hard, but I kinda ruined the surprise reveal for myself. But, I mean, this isn't the biggest deal. Like, at least there's no fighters to unlock once you beat the game. I mean, that would be crazy. Oh, no. So even though we've defeated Tabuu and returned Subspace to their correct places, that doesn't mean we're done, because there's some post-game content to do, and this has to be the most unthought-out part of the game. So the post-game content is 3 hidden fighters. Those fighters being Jigglypuff in the swamp, Toon Link in the forest, and Wolf in the ruins. Wait, did he just flip me off? Oh, you're gonna regret doing that, you little piece of poop. All of the fighters are in doors that weren't there the first time you played the level. You enter a door and there's a short cutscene introducing the fighter, and you battle them. You lose, you get booted out of the level. You win, you unlock the fighter and get booted out of the level, which is all fine and dandy. But here I'll explain why I think this sucks. Now, having hidden fighters wouldn't be a bad idea if you were able to find them before you finish the main story. Because after you beat the main story, there's really nothing to do with them except go back to old levels and 100% complete them. But if you've already found everything to find in all the levels, then the fighters are completely useless. Another thing that sucks about this is that the doors that the fighters are in aren't even hidden or hard to get to. They're just there, right in your face, which means the only thing hidden about them is that they're even in the game at all. There are 2 ways that I think they could have gone about this that would have been a lot better. The first way is hiding the doors to the fighters better and having it where the doors are accessible your first time playing the level. The second way is just to add them to the story. I mean, you could add Jigglypuff to any level with Pokemon in it, and they can make another level somewhere close to the end of the game where Wolf attacks Fox, and they get stuck somewhere and realize that they have to team up if they want to survive, which would be pretty cool. Toon Link is definitely the hardest one to add to the story because it's just Link but cartoony. The best spot I could think of would be this cutscene where Link and Zelda tell Ganondorf to come with them to the Great Maze. But before Ganondorf walks up the stairs, Toon Link charges at him and Link and Zelda say, no, he's cool now. And Toon Link is like, okay. Again, this would be a little bit weird and wouldn't make the most sense since Toon Link is just Link but in a different art style, but at the same time, in this game when you die you become a trophy, so I don't think that having sound logic is really an issue. It's disappointing that the game had to end on such a sour note, but regardless, there are many things that are great about this game. The story, the cutscenes, the music, the bosses, the sticker placement circle that gives you buffs. Yeah, I didn't know where to talk about this in the video, so I'm putting it here. It's pretty fun. The level design, most of the time. The enemies, most of the time. It's truly an experience unlike any other, so the answer to my original question is yes, the game is still very good, and I'd even say it's great. My number ranking would have to be an 8 out of 10. Sure, I wish some things could have been different, but as a whole, I had a lot of fun. Anyway, thank you all for watching, but you know, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, Snake! I didn't see him there!